Okay, let's unpack this. You know that feeling, right? You walk face first into a spider web, that primal shudder. But the truth is, we're basically walking through this incredible, like, three-dimensional masterclass in material science. We look at massive stuff aerial, highways, skyscrapers, and we think, okay, that's peak human engineering. But the spider, it just needs itself and its silk to build things that are, honestly, just as complex, just as impressive on its scale. So today we're doing a deep dive into the history, the evolution of that material, silk. We're going to try and untangle this complex web of knowledge around this natural super material, from how it lets spiders fly
That flies amazing.
to how scientists are now trying to, well, milk it from goats, seriously. But just to set the scene, let's talk about the absolute marvel of silk itself. I mean, there are something, 100,000 species of spiders estimated worldwide.
Around that, yeah. Huge number.
And every single one relies on this one primary tool, silk. And the facts are just, well, they're staggering. Spider silk can be up to 1,000 times thinner than a human hair.
Almost invisible sometimes.
Right. And pound for pound, it's 5 times stronger than steel, and tougher than Kevlar. But here's the bit that always gets me, the thing that shows how impossibly strong it is. If you could take a single strand, just one, and stretch it all the way around the Earth, that entire thread would weigh less than 500 grams, less than half a kilo.
Wow.
It's basically nature's perfect engineering material.
And what's fascinating is that the spider isn't just making one thing. It's like a walking materials factory. You mentioned that tool, the spinneret gland. It's on the abdomen, right? And it lets the spider switch up the chemistry, like, instantly.
Right. It's the super adaptable master tool. It can pump out silk that's elastic or totally rigid, sticky or not sticky, or switch from, a single thread you can barely see to a heavy-duty cable.
Exactly. The material is totally purpose-built. Is it for a web, a drop line for escaping, cocooning prey, protecting eggs? It makes the right stuff for the job.
Tailor-made silk.
And that purpose-built material, it has a massive global impact. If you want to grasp the scale of how well it works as a trap, think about this. Spiders across the whole planet are estimated to eat somewhere between 400 and 800 million metric tons of insects every single year.
Wait, hang on. 400 to 800 million tons. Let me put that in perspective for you listening. The entire human population eats about 400,000 tons of meat and fish in a year. Maybe a bit more now, but in that ballpark.
Right.
Spiders eat millions of tons of insects. Wow. I guess if spiders, went on strike, we'd notice pretty fast how vital their silk engineering is.
Oh, absolutely. It really puts their role as, apex micropredators into sharp focus. And when you look at how they trap all that, the variety in web design is just incredible. It's not just one type of net.
Yeah, we tend to picture that classic spiral web, but there are so many other architectures out there. What are some of the maybe cleverer designs they use, the less obvious ones?
Well, okay, take tangle webs, cobwebs. The kind spun by house spiders or black widows. They look really messy, right? Just a disorganized jumble of thread.
Totally chaotic, yeah.
But the mechanism is actually incredibly sophisticated.
Wow.
These webs are laced with these tiny, sticky droplets. So when an insect crawls across one of the main lines, that thread is actually engineered to break.
To break on purpose.
Exactly. And when it snaps, the tension in the rest of the web instantly pulls the victim upwards into the middle of the tangle.
No way.
Yeah, it's like a designed failsafe, almost like a little mechanical spring trap, but totally passive. It just hauls the prey up and gets it hopelessly tangled immediately.
That's brilliant, hiding in plain sight in the corner of the room.
It's a really neat mechanism, but then you've got, 4 other basic architectures that are optimized for different situations. There are the flat sheet webs you see between grass stems, spun by platform spiders. They often have a net above that sort of flies down onto the sheet.
Oh.
Then there's the specialized triangle web, the hidden funnel webs, where the spider just waits inside the narrow end.
Patient hunters.
Very. And finally, the famous spiral orb web. That's the one most people think of, built by nearly 3,000 different species of orb weavers.
So silk lets them trap stuff on the ground, in the air. But speaking of air, let's talk about something truly wild. Flying spiders. This whole phenomenon, it's called ballooning. And it's way more than just, getting caught by a gust of wind.
That's right. It looks simple on the surface. A spider climbs up high, maybe on a fence post or a tall plant, raises its front legs, sort of checks the wind.
Testing the condition.
Exactly. Then it points its abdomen up and starts releasing these fine silk threads. But the physics involved, It's actually pretty complex. They aren't just passively parachuting, they're actively using atmospheric physics.
And this is where it gets really cool, I think. They're essentially using electrostatic repulsion.
Hmm.
It's like, when you rub a balloon on your hair and your hair stands on end? Static electricity.
Yeah, same principle.
So when the spider lets out that silk, the threads pick up a negative electrical charge. And the surface the spider is standing on the ground, a leaf, whatever, is also negatively charged.
Right, and critically, the Earth's atmosphere itself has a natural electric field, also typically negative near the surface.
So the negatively charged silk repels against the negatively charged surface in the electric field. And whoosh, it launches them upwards, they float away.
It's an incredible dispersal mechanism, a huge evolutionary advantage. Lets them escape predators, find new places with food, colonize new habitats, sometimes miles and miles away.
But just to put that evolution in context, silk wasn't always about flight or fancy webs, was it? It started much simpler.
Oh, much simpler. You have to rewind the clock way back, like 400 million years ago. This is before the very first trees even existed on Earth. We've found fossils of what seems to be the missing link. These long extinct silk-producing ancestors called proto-spiders. But they didn't spin webs.
No webs. So what was the silk for back then?
Well, think about it. Flying insects hadn't evolved yet, so there was no real need for aerial traps. The silk was used for really practical, ground-level stuff. Lining their burrows, maybe creating little homing trails so they could find their way back, and definitely for protecting their egg sacs.
Just basic infrastructure,
Yeah.
paving their little spot on the ground.
Pretty much. The huge evolutionary leap happened later, after insects took to the skies. That's when those proto-spiders' simple little silk spigots started adapting, becoming the much more precise, complex spinnerets we see today. That allowed them to start spinning intricate webs up off the ground in the plants that were starting to appear.
Wow, what an incredible timescale. From just like ground level lining to using static electricity for intercontinental travel. But what also strikes me is how fast evolution can still happen right now when the conditions change quickly.
Absolutely. We see surprising modern adaptations popping up all the time.
Like the decoy spiders. That story's amazing. It's this case of convergent evolution, right?
Yeah.
Spiders in totally different parts of the world.
Yeah, places as far apart as Peru and the Philippines. Thousands of miles.
They independently figured out how to use bits of debris, old prey carcasses, stuff like that, to build these incredibly detailed dummy spiders.
Real sculptures of themselves.
Yeah, decoys that mimic their own size, shape, sometimes even having the right number of legs, all just to distract predators. It's unbelievable tool use and deception.
The fact that such complex behavior evolved independently in different lineages is, well, it's truly astounding.
And then closer to home, you've got human-induced rapid environmental change, high R, they call it. It's driving these huge, measurable changes in spiders right now, especially in cities. Researchers looked at spiders in inner-city parks, places like Minneapolis, Cincinnati, New Orleans, and they found that the city spiders weighed, on average, 3 times as much as the spiders of the same species living out in rural areas.
3 times heavier. And not only that, they found the city females had significantly bigger ovaries too.
Which means?
Well, that weight gain and the increased reproductive potential, it seems directly linked to the urban heat island effect. Cities are warmer, and also just the sheer abundance of food, like insects attracted to city lights.
Okay, so they're getting fat and happy in the city.
But the adaptation goes deeper. Spiders, historically, are strongly photophobic. They hate light.
Right, they hide in dark corners.
Generally, yes. But city spiders, they seem to be rapidly losing that sensitivity. It's happening fast, evolutionarily speaking.
So they're embracing the light.
They are. They're building their webs right around street lights, porch lights, basically setting up shop where the insects congregate at night.
Cornering the market.
Exactly. They're fundamentally changing the local food chain because they're leveraging our infrastructure. They're catching way more prey than their country cousins who are still hiding from the light.
That versatility just shows why silk is, I guess, too good a material to be limited just to spiders.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If we zoom out for a second, the story of silk is really a fantastic example of convergent evolution. This amazing material has popped up independently in hundreds, maybe thousands of different species across the animal kingdom, particularly in insects.
And the most famous example there, of course, has to be the silkworm.
Correct. The larvae of a specific domesticated moth, Bombyx mori. Humans have been farming them for silk for, 5,000 years now, since ancient China.
A long history.
A very long history. And get this, A single silkworm cocoon can unravel into a thread that's 300 to 900 meters long.
Wow, one cocoon.
One cocoon. But you still need something like 2,000 to 3,000 cocoons just to make 1 pound of raw silk.
That's a lot of worms.
It is, which is why the global harvest is estimated at over 10 billion cocoons every year. It's a huge industry.
And besides the silkworm, which we've kind of co-opted, what are some other cool examples of insects using silk?
Oh, there are plenty.
Hmm.
Raspy crickets use silk to stitch leaves together to make little shelters. There's a whole order of insects called web spinners or Embryoptera. They have silk glands in their front legs, and they spin these silken tunnels and galleries to live in, not for catching prey, just for housing.
Silk architects.
Exactly. Even honeybees use silk. They have silk glands in their mouths, and larvae use it when they're constructing the walls of the wax cells in the honeycomb.
No kidding, honeycomb has silk in it.
A little bit, yeah. And interestingly, that bee silk is actually tougher and stretchier than the silk from the commercial silkworm we harvest.
Okay, but maybe the gold standard for silk engineering outside of spiders has to be the weaver ants, right? They're incredible.
Oh, weaver ants are phenomenal. They are absolute master builders, and silk is their key construction material. They build these large, complex nests, sometimes as big as a volleyball, high up in the tree canopy by binding living leaves together.
Pulling leaves together and sticking them, how?
And get this. The adult worker ants don't produce the silk themselves. They use their own larvae as tools.
They use the babies.
Yep. An adult worker will actually pick up a larva in its mandibles, carry it to where two leaf edges need joining, and then gently squeeze the larva. The larva then secretes this sticky silk thread, and the adult ant moves it back and forth, like a living glue gun, using the silk as a kind of concrete to bind the leaves together into these amazing chambers.
That is next level tool use. Using your own young as a construction tool. Wild.
And silk isn't just limited to land animals either. We even find it in the ocean. There's something called sea silk. It's produced by certain large marine mussels, like the noble pen shell, Pinnonobilis. These things can grow up to like 60 centimeters tall.
Big mussels.
Huge. And they secrete these fine, strong, golden brown filaments, the silk to anchor themselves firmly to rocks on the seabed. This mat of silky threads they create is called a byssus. And believe it or not, for centuries, especially around the Mediterranean, people actually harvested this byssus.
Harvested mussel silk.
Yeah. And spun it into thread and wove it into this incredibly rare, luxurious cloth, sea silk cloth. It was almost legendary.
Wow. Okay, so spiders, insects, mussels. Surely that's it.
Not quite. Even some vertebrates have gotten in on the act.
Vertebrates use silk. Like what?
Certain types of fish, like killifish, they produce a sticky, silky substance
What for?
to hold their eggs together in clumps and also to glue those egg clumps firmly onto rocks or underwater plants. It shows just how fundamental this material can be for biology, survival, shelter, reproduction. Silk does it all.
So, okay, nature perfected silk millions of years ago. It's this super material. What's the cutting edge for humans trying to harness it? We're talking about the spider goat now.
Yeah, the spider goat. It sounds like something out of a comic book, but it's real genetic engineering. It comes down to a major practical problem. You can't really farm spiders for silk. Not efficiently. Most web-spinning spiders are territorial, cannibalistic.
Right, you can't keep thousands of them in a pen.
Exactly, it just doesn't work. So scientists thought, how can we get the protein that makes silk, but without the spider?
Enter the goat.
Enter the goat. This is truly fascinating stuff. They took a key gene from an ortweaver spider, the gene responsible for producing a specific silk protein, and they inserted it into the goat's DNA, specifically linked to milk production.
So the goat makes milk with spider silk protein in it.
That's the idea. The milk contains these silk proteins, which can then be filtered out, purified, and potentially spun into fibers.
And why? What's the goal?
Well, this research is all about finding a way to scale up production, to make large quantities of this incredibly strong, biocompatible silk fiber much more efficiently than trying to harvest it from spiders or even silkworms. The main target application right now is medical. Things like creating artificial ligaments or tendons, super strong surgical sutures, scaffolds for tissue regeneration.
Yeah.
Using that natural strength that's, 5 times better than steel.
It's just an incredible journey when you think about it. The story of silk, starting as this simple, evolutionary glue on the ancient forest floor.
Millions and millions of years.
And now ending up as this futuristic biomaterial potentially being produced in a goat's mammary gland. It ties together the whole evolution of shelter, trap making, tool use, across the entire animal kingdom.
And just to bring it back, remember that single spider we talked about, the hunter? Picture her.
Yeah.
She rolls up a tiny, sticky ball of silk. They call it a bolus. She hangs it from a strong single silken line, climbs up high,
Ready to hunt.
ready to hunt. She holds onto that line, the bolus dangling below, just waiting. And when the first unsuspecting insect flies within range, she casts it out, like a weighted bolas or a tiny lariat.
Wow.
A single strand of silk uses this elegant, simple, yet incredibly effective engineered weapon. Pure power and simplicity.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? Maybe next time you see a spider web, don't just see a nuisance. Look around at the natural world and just think about the complexity of evolution. Does a material like silk, something so powerful, so versatile, does it actually dictate how the species that use it evolve?
Or is it the other way around? Do the species evolve first and then just maximize the potential of the material they happen to have?
It's a fascinating question, and it makes you wonder, what other seemingly simple tools or materials out there in the natural world hold this kind of incredible, maybe unseen engineering power? Something to think about.